Welcome to Dreamy Tales, a place where gentle, relaxing stories will guide you into a deep sleep. On this channel, we'll be sharing soothing stories to help you unwind and forget the worries of the day. If you enjoy these peaceful moments, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you won't miss any of our bedtime tales. Let's create a space of relaxation together each night. Now, before we dive into tonight's story, let's take a few moments to relax your body and mind. Find a comfortable spot to sit or lie down. Gently close your eyes and take a deep breath. Inhale slowly, feeling the fresh air filling your lungs, and slowly exhale, letting the tension in your body gradually melt away. Repeat this 3 more times. With each breath, feel yourself becoming more relaxed and ready to enter the magical world of stories. Now, loosen your shoulders, gently massage your face, and release any remaining tension. Pay attention to any areas in your body that still feel tight, maybe in your neck, back, or legs, and gently let them relax. Next, we'll do a short guided visualization. Imagine yourself in a beautiful garden under the night sky, with the soft moonlight shining down. You can hear the rustling of leaves in the breeze, the sound of water flowing gently in the distance. Feel the cool breeze brushing against your face. Now that your body and mind are relaxed, let's step into tonight's story. But before we begin, remind yourself that you deserve these moments of relaxation, and let go of all worries as you listen to each word. And now, as you are fully relaxed, let's begin our journey into tonight's tale. Allow my words to guide you into a world of dreams and serenity. Relax and listen slowly. In a quaint little town, nestled amidst rolling hills and whispering meadows, resided a family whose hearts overflowed with love, a treasure far more valuable than any material possession. Elias, the father, was a man of gentle strength and boundless optimism. Leah, the mother, possessed a nurturing spirit and a warm smile that could brighten even the cloudiest of days. Their son, Caleb, was a curious and energetic boy with a mischievous twinkle in his eyes, and their daughter, Eliana, carried a quiet wisdom and a deep connection to the rhythms of nature that belied her young age. They shared their lives in a modest dwelling, surrounded by a close-knit community of aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, and dear friends. For this family, the greatest joy lay in the simple act of celebrating holidays together, weaving cherished memories into the fabric of their lives. Each holiday held a special significance for them. For Elias, it was Hanukkah, the radiant festival of lights, whose flickering candles illuminated their home with warmth and hope during the cool winter evenings. Leah cherished the long and meaningful Passover ciders, where stories of freedom and resilience were shared over traditional meals. Caleb eagerly awaited Purim, a time for joyous costumes and playful revelry. But for Eliana, her heart held a year-long anticipation for the arrival of Sukkot, the vibrant festival of the harvest and temporary dwellings. As the crisp winter months descended, the family would often stroll down the familiar lane to their grandparents' cozy house, their laughter echoing in the frosty air as they gathered to light the Hanukkah candles, each flame representing a miracle and a shared moment of joy. When the first blossoms of spring painted the landscape with color, they would visit their cousins, their voices blending in the traditional songs and blessings of the Passover Seder, celebrating the triumph of hope over adversity. As the warmth of summer began to wane, they would join friends to dip sweet apples into golden honey, ushering in the Jewish New Year with wishes for sweetness and prosperity in the year to come. Yet, despite their deep love for these traditions, their own small home had never been large enough to host the grand holiday celebrations they so dearly cherished. They were always welcomed with open arms into the homes of their loved ones, their hearts filled with gratitude for the shared festivities. However, a quiet wish lingered within them, a dream of one year opening their own doors to host a holiday celebration, filling their own space with the warmth of family and friends. This desire burned particularly bright within Eliana's heart, for she longed to host Sukkot, the 7-day holiday that celebrated the bounty of the harvest and the beauty of impermanence. It was a time to spend outdoors, decorating the Sukkah with natural materials, sharing meals with loved ones under the open sky, and savoring the fresh fruits and vegetables of the season. The holiday of Sukkot held a special significance, being one of the most ancient and deeply rooted in Jewish tradition. Throughout the community, families would construct small temporary dwellings called sukkahs in their backyards, using natural materials like wood and branches. One sun-drenched afternoon, Eliana was playing in the wild, untamed space behind their house, her small feet dancing amongst the colorful wildflowers, her senses filled with the sweet, earthy fragrance of the nearby fig trees. Despite the slight disappointment of not being able to host holiday celebrations, she never minded that their house was small, for the expansive natural world just beyond their doorstep served as her own personal playground, a place of endless exploration and wonder. Just then, as she chased a fluttering butterfly through the tall grass, a brilliant idea sparked within Eliana's mind, as bright and sudden as a shooting star. Her eyes widened with excitement, and she skipped back towards the house, her heart pounding with anticipation. She burst through the back door and into the cozy kitchen, where her mother and father were peacefully sharing a cup of afternoon tea, their conversation a gentle murmur in the warm air. "Mama! Papa!" Eliana exclaimed, her voice filled with newfound enthusiasm. "Our house may be too small to have all our friends and family over for Hanukkah or Passover," she said, her words tumbling out in a rush. "But Sukkot isn't celebrated indoors. It's outside, and we have more space outside than anyone else in the whole town." Her words hung in the air, filled with the simple yet profound truth of her observation. It was indeed true. While their small house might have appeared modest in comparison to their neighbors' homes, many of which boasted large dining rooms and spacious lounges, their backyard was a different story altogether. It was the largest in the entire neighborhood, a sprawling expanse of green that stretched all the way to the edge of the nearby woods. Leah and Elias exchanged a look of delighted surprise, their faces lighting up with the brilliance of their daughter's idea. "Why hadn't we thought of it before?" Elias exclaimed, a wide smile spreading across his face. Leah nodded in agreement, her eyes sparkling with excitement. This year, they would host Sukkot, and they would build the biggest and most beautiful sukkah the town had ever seen. A testament to their love for their community and their cherished traditions. With their hearts filled with joyful anticipation, Eliana and Caleb eagerly set about the task of creating invitations for their grand Sukkot celebration. They carefully folded pieces of colorful paper and adorned them with drawings of smiling families gathered beneath leafy branches, their young hands adding a touch of innocent charm to each invitation. Together, they penned heartfelt messages, inviting all of their friends and family in town to join them for the 7-day holiday. As they walked up and down the quiet, sun-drenched roads of their town, delivering the handwritten notes to each household, they were enveloped by the rich, comforting sense of ripened fruit hanging heavy on the branches of nearby trees, and the earthy aroma of freshly plowed fields, a reminder of the season's bounty. Their smiling neighbors and beloved family members accepted their invitations with genuine delight, their eyes twinkling with anticipation for the upcoming celebration. Everyone in town, it seemed, was eager to gather in the sukkah that Eliana's family would build. Now, the exciting task of construction lay before them. The family ventured into their expansive backyard and the whispering woods that bordered their property, their hands reaching for fallen branches, their feet crunching on dried leaves as they gathered the natural materials they would need to build their sukkah. They knew that a sukkah needed to be constructed using only natural elements, and the roof, in particular, held great significance. It had to consist solely of things that grew from the earth: leafy branches, sturdy stalks, and perhaps even fragrant flowers. The roof was meant to provide shade from the sun's warmth during the day, yet still be open enough to allow the gentle light of the sun, the soft glow of the moon, and the twinkling brilliance of the stars to filter through, connecting them to the vastness of the heavens. Eliana felt a special responsibility for ensuring the roof was perfect. She had a secret wish. If the weather remained mild and pleasant, she planned on bringing out her cozy sleeping bag and spending the nights in the sukkah, drifting off to sleep beneath the watchful gaze of the moon and the silent symphony of the stars. The thought filled her with a sense of peaceful wonder. Walking through nature during the vibrant harvest season was a truly marvelous experience. The air was thick with the sweet, earthy sense of ripened stalks of grain and the fragrant aroma of late-season fruits as the family gathered the materials they needed for their sukkah. They observed local farmers diligently culling fields of golden wheat and barley, carefully picking plump figs and shiny olives from their branches, and gently harvesting the bright red pomegranates that hung like jewels from sprawling trees. As the family went about their task, the generous spirit of their community began to manifest. Each person they passed offered them something to contribute to the Sukkah. One olive farmer, his hands stained with the rich color of the fruit, chopped some sturdy golden olive branches for the family to use as part of the roof. Another neighbor, known for his sweet figs and even sweeter honey, gifted them a generous supply to serve as a delicious dessert during their Sukkot meals. A third neighbor, whose fields were abundant with tall corn stalks, offered them a bundle to help create ample shade during the sunny days of the holiday. Their arms laden with their gathered treasures, the family carried their bounty back home, their hearts filled with excitement at the prospect of building the temporary hut where they would eat, drink, and sleep together over the next 7 joyous days. Upon their return home, the family immediately set to work on the foundational structure of their grand Sukkah, beginning with the walls. "Let's make it as big as our house," Caleb exclaimed, his eyes wide with enthusiasm as he helped his father carry a long, sturdy branch. Eliana, ever the dreamer, countered with an even grander vision. "Let's make it bigger," she declared, her voice filled with excitement. "A small house means a big Sukkah," she reasoned, her logic simple and irrefutable in her young mind. Leah and Elias exchanged a knowing smile, their hearts warmed by their children's boundless enthusiasm. The possibilities for their Sukkah seemed endless, limited only by their imagination and the space of their expansive backyard. As they worked together, their efforts did not go unnoticed. Soon, more and more of their neighbors began to arrive, drawn by the sight of the massive structure taking shape in the family's backyard. They came bearing gifts of more wood, decorative branches adorned with colorful leaves, fragrant plants, and even vibrant flowers, eager to contribute to the communal effort. The children of the neighborhood, their faces alight with excitement, joined in the fun, drawing colorful pictures and creating long, whimsical paper chain links to hang from the roof of the Sukkah, adding a touch of childlike joy to the decorations. The adults brought an assortment of yellow, orange, and red gourds, their smooth surfaces gleaming in the autumn light, to adorn the tables where they would soon share festive meals. One of their neighbors, a talented gardener with a passion for all things that bloomed, brought fragrant sprigs of myrtle and other fresh-smelling flowers and herbs to hang within the Sukkah, filling the air with their sweet and invigorating scents. Thanks to the collective effort and generous spirit of the entire community, the giant Sukkah began to take on a truly magnificent form. Its walls stood tall and strong, a testament to their shared labor, and it was beautifully decorated with a vibrant array of natural materials, filling the air with a symphony of sweet and earthy fragrances. The final and perhaps most challenging part of the construction was the roof. The walls of their Sukkah were significantly higher than the walls of their own modest house, requiring a bit of ingenuity and teamwork to complete. Elias and Leah carefully carried a tall ladder up to the roof of their house and leaned it securely against the sturdy wall of the Sukkah. The children eagerly handed them bundles of corn stalks, fragrant olive branches, and wide, flat date palm leaves, which Elias and Leah carefully placed over the tops of the Sukkah walls, creating a leafy canopy. Caleb and Eliana stood inside the Sukkah, their young voices acting as guides, telling their parents when there was the perfect balance of light and shade filtering through the natural roof. Finally, with the last of the leafy branches in place, Elias and Leah climbed back down the ladder, their faces flushed with accomplishment. The whole family stood inside their newly constructed hut, their eyes wide with wonder. The children's drawings, the colorful paper chains, and the vibrant gourds shimmered under the dappled light that peeked through the branches and leaves above. The spacious interior felt grand and beautiful, large enough, Eliana imagined, to host a truly magnificent celebration, perhaps even a grand ball. Everything was perfect, ready and waiting for their Sukkot festivities to begin. With their magnificent Sukkah complete, the next crucial task was to gather enough food to prepare the traditional Sukkot meals for all of their invited guests. The family's modest means meant they didn't have the financial resources to purchase enough food to feed everyone. But they knew that the generous spirit of their community would once again come to their aid. During the harvest season, it was a long-standing tradition in their town for all of the farmers to leave a portion of their crops unpicked in their fields, allowing those who couldn't afford enough food to gather sustenance for themselves and their families. The farmers also thoughtfully set aside some of their harvested grains, precious olive oil, and sweet wine, ensuring that everyone in the community who wished to celebrate the holiday would have the means to do so. With woven baskets in hand, Leah, Elias, Eliana, and Caleb ventured out into the surrounding farmers' fields, their eyes scanning the rows of crops for what they could gather. They found stalks of golden wheat, enough to bake fresh, fragrant bread for their guests, and they gently shook the tall palm trees until their sweet, ripe fruits tumbled down onto the soft earth. Carefully, they filled their baskets with their foraged bounty, their hearts filled with gratitude for the kindness of their neighbors. They knew exactly how they would repay this generosity in their own way. Before Sukkot officially began, they would make a special trip to the market to purchase the sweetest etrog, a fragrant citrus fruit resembling a large lemon, for all of their guests to hold, smell, and shake as part of the holiday rituals. Each morning of Sukkot, every member of the household was meant to hold the etrog in one hand and a lulav, a symbolic bundle consisting of a branch from a palm tree, 3 fragrant boughs of myrtle, and 2 branches from a willow tree, in the other hand, and wave them gently in all 6 directions, up, down, and side to side. While the plants needed to assemble the lulav were readily available to many people in their community, the etrog was a rarer find, and a beautiful, bright, firm fruit could be quite expensive. Often, families and neighbors would share a few etrogs amongst themselves. However, Since Eliana's family was hosting such a large gathering for the holiday, they wanted to ensure they had the most exquisite and fragrant etrog they could find, a symbol of beauty and abundance to share with their guests. And so, the day before Sukkot was set to begin, the entire family made their way to the bustling town market. They waved to their friends and family members as they walked through the streets, some of whom joined them on their trip, their voices mingling in cheerful conversation. In their town, filled with hard-working farmers and skilled artisans, the market served not only as a place to buy and sell goods, but also as a vital social hub, a place where the community came together. The rich smells of the harvest, the sweet aroma of ripe figs, the earthy scent of olives, the sugary fragrance of dates, and the tangy perfume of pomegranates greeted them as they strolled down the lively streets, their senses delighted by the bounty of the season. Despite the tempting array of goods on display, thanks to the incredible kindness of their neighbors, there was only one specific store the family needed to visit today: the etrog store. As they approached the small shop, they saw a beautiful display of bright yellow oval fruits piled high on a rustic wooden table. The etrogs looked like large, unusually shaped lemons, their peels thicker and more rigid than those of ordinary lemons. Eliana ran her small hand gently over the waxy skin of one of the fruits, inhaling its intensely citrusy yet subtly sweet scent. Her eyes scanned the display, searching for the perfect specimen. In the back corner of the store, one particular etrog seemed to shimmer under the light, its vibrant yellow hue and perfect form making it look exceptionally beautiful. When Eliana carefully picked it up, she gasped softly. It was the sweetest smelling fruit she had ever held, its fragrance filling the air around her with a burst of joyous citrus. "Mama, Papa," she said firmly, her eyes sparkling with delight. "This is the one." They passed the precious etrog between them, each enjoying the firmness of the fruit and the lingering citrus scent that clung to their hands even after they had passed it on. Leah paid the shopkeeper, thanking him for helping to enrich their Sukkot celebration with such a beautiful etrog. Eliana held the fragrant fruit high as they walked back through the bustling market, her heart filled with anticipation. When they passed a friend who would be joining their celebration the next day, she proudly stopped to show off their prized etrog. "Everyone will be so excited to shake this tomorrow," she exclaimed, her voice filled with childlike enthusiasm. With their precious etrog safely in hand, the family wandered the familiar streets back towards their home, appreciating the bright sunshine overhead. Sukkot, they knew, always signaled the gentle transition of the seasons. The warm, carefree days of summer had come to a close, and the cooler, darker days of winter were slowly but surely on their way. During Sukkot, they took the time to appreciate each sunny day and the golden rays of the evening light, knowing that the sun would soon begin its seasonal slumber, its warmth less intense. Eliana especially liked knowing that the holidays helped to mark and celebrate the passing of the seasons. Sukkot for the autumn harvest, Hanukkah for the warmth and light in the heart of winter, and Passover for the renewal and blossoming of spring. The autumn time, with its vibrant colors and abundance of ripe fruits, held a particular beauty for her. But she also understood that part of that beauty lay in the constant cycle of change, the comforting knowledge that each season would eventually turn into the next, bringing its own unique gifts and wonders. Back at home, the family busied themselves with ensuring that everything would be perfectly ready for the arrival of their guests the next day, when the Sukkot holiday would officially begin. Eliana and Caleb carefully checked all of the decorations in the Sukkah, making sure that the colorful drawings and whimsical paper chains hung just right, their vibrant hues adding to the festive atmosphere. Leah and Elias worked together in the kitchen, their hands moving with practiced efficiency as they chopped fresh fruits and vegetables, preparing a delicious array of dishes for the feast. The aroma of roasting yams and potatoes filled the air, their sweet and earthy fragrance a comforting prelude to the holiday meals. They also mixed the dough for honey cakes, a traditional treat, ensuring that there would be no need for extensive preparation in the morning, allowing them to fully enjoy the company of their guests. The last task to complete before nightfall was putting together the lulav, the symbolic bundle of branches. They carefully sorted through their foraged pile of natural materials. Caleb chose a long, straight branch from a date palm tree. Eliana plucked 3 fragrant sprigs of myrtle, their leaves releasing a sweet, slightly spicy aroma. Leah picked up 2 strong, flexible branches from a willow tree. And Elias, with gentle care, took a stalk of green grass and used it to tie all the different branches together into a unified bundle. No one in their community knew with absolute certainty the precise reason why these specific plants were brought together to create the lulav. But Leah and Elias had a thoughtful theory that they often shared with their children. They believed that the different plants represented all the diverse parts of their community, each unique yet essential to the whole. The etrog, which was held and shaken alongside the lulav, was fragrant and flavorful, representing those in the community who possessed both wisdom and good deeds. The dates from the palm branch were sweet to taste but had no distinct smell, symbolizing those who possessed knowledge but perhaps lacked outward expressions of good deeds. Myrtle had a lovely floral scent but no taste, representing those who were rich in good deeds but perhaps lacked extensive knowledge. And finally, the willow had neither taste nor smell, symbolizing those who might not have extensive knowledge or many visible good deeds, yet were still an integral part of the community. Just as these 3 different branches were bound together to form a single lulav, so too were all the different people in their community brought together to celebrate in the Sukkah, their differences embraced in the spirit of unity. Sometimes, Elias and Leah explained, not everyone had the space or resources to build their own Sukkah, or there might not be enough precious etrogs to go around. But when people joined together with all their unique qualities and differences, it created something truly beautiful and meaningful. With all the preparations finally complete, the family carefully laid the assembled lulav and the fragrant etrog by the front door, ensuring they would be the first things to greet their cherished guests the next day. Each member of the family then curled up in their own cozy beds, their minds filled with happy anticipation and dreams of the joyous celebrations to come. As Eliana drifted off to sleep, her imagination conjured up images of the following night, when she would finally be sleeping under the vast expanse of the starlit sky in their magnificent Sukkah. The next morning, the family awoke early, their hearts filled with a sense of excitement for the day ahead. They poured each other steaming cups of herbal tea and shared a simple breakfast of sweet apples dipped in golden honey, not wanting to eat too much before the festive feast they would soon share with their guests. Eliana and Caleb helped their parents set the long tables in the Sukkah, placing pitchers of cool water, sweet grape juice, and fragrant wine for the adults. They even swept the floor of the Sukkah, carefully gathering any leaves that had fallen overnight from the natural roof. As they worked, they watched the morning sun glitter through the leafy branches above, casting dancing patterns of light on the colorful gourds that lined the tables. Finally, the first of their guests began to arrive, their faces beaming with anticipation. Eliana and Caleb took their places at the etrog station, a small table near the entrance to the Sukkah, where the precious citrus fruit was displayed. Their parents stood nearby, warmly greeting each arriving aunt, uncle, cousin, and friend, directing them to their seats at the festively decorated tables. Each guest who entered held the symbolic plants of the lulav in one hand and the golden etrog in the other. Following tradition, they brought both hands together in front of them and gently moved the bundle up, down, left, and right, shaking the leaves and branches as they went, their movements creating a soft, rustling sound. Waving these celebratory objects in each direction symbolized the belief that everyone in all corners of the earth was connected. A gentle rhythm developed as the lulav and etrog were passed from guest to guest, each person performing the symbolic waving, the soft, swishing sound of the branches moving through the air mingled with the joyful laughter of friends and the cheerful chirping of birds in the nearby trees, creating a harmonious symphony of celebration. After shaking the lulav and etrog, the guests found their places at the long tables within the Sukkah. They chatted excitedly about how large and beautiful the temporary dwelling was, their voices filled with admiration for the family's efforts and the community's contribution. Soon, Leah, Elias, Eliana, and Caleb began bringing out the delicious food they had prepared. First came soft, sweet bread, baked fresh in their oven, accompanied by fragrant wine for the adults and sweet grape juice for the children. Following tradition, they dipped the warm, steaming bread in honey, savoring the sweetness of their time together and expressing gratitude for the blessings of the harvest. Next came a flavorful soup made from the season's bounty of squash, drizzled with fresh fig syrup and a touch of golden honey. Spoons clinked happily against bowls, and the contented slurping of soup added to the joyful chorus of voices. Leah and Elias then went back inside their house to retrieve the main course. A platter of roasted chicken, sprinkled with ruby-red pomegranate seeds and served alongside shiny black olives, sweet honey cakes, and a freshly chopped salad of ripe tomatoes, crisp cucumbers, and fragrant onions, was brought out to the table, eliciting gasps of delight from the guests. The guests eagerly heaped generous servings of the delicious food onto their plates, knowing that these were the fruits of their labor, the crops they had diligently tended throughout the spring and summer months. Above them, a small family of birds landed on an olive branch that formed part of the sukkah's roof, their bright eyes looking down at the feasting people below. For this special week of the year, the people lived outside, much like the birds and animals, appreciating the simple rhythms of nature and the beauty of the changing seasons. The freshness of the vegetables and the savory flavors of the meats perfectly satisfied everyone's taste buds, and the mingled aromas and tastes created a distinct and comforting feeling of autumn. When the plates were empty and stomachs were happily full, Leah and Elias cleared the table in preparation for dessert. They carried out large bowls filled with an assortment of fresh seasonal fruit. Plump figs, sweet dates, juicy pomegranates, crisp apples, and bunches of ripe grapes were passed around the table, drizzled with extra honey for those with a particularly sweet tooth. Outside the sukkah, the afternoon sun was beginning to turn a warm, golden hue as it slowly sank lower in the sky. But no one was quite ready for the joyful celebrations to end. The sweet-tasting food and drink helped the conversation to flow easily, even as the colors of the sky began to shift and deepen. Some of the guests brought out musical instruments, a lute with its mellow strings and a tambourine with its cheerful jingles, and began to play lively songs. The adults joined in, singing a cheerful tune that echoed through the sukkah and into the surrounding air, and the children, their faces flushed with happiness, ran outside to dance in the streets, their joyous movements bringing smiles to everyone they passed on this special holiday. Cool autumn breezes gently brushed the hair of the dancers as they twirled and leaped amidst the vibrant reds, oranges, and yellows of the leaves still clinging to the trees. The colors always seemed to look their most beautiful at this time of day, when the sun was preparing for its nightly slumber. As the evening wore on, little limbs began to tire, and the energetic dancing gradually slowed down. The singing grew quieter, and one by one, the guests began to bid their farewells, their hearts full of joy and gratitude. They left behind small jars of homemade honey and bottles of precious olive oil as tokens of their appreciation, thanking Eliana's family for building such a wonderful and welcoming sukkah for their shared celebration. The family hugged their guests goodbye, expressing their own thanks for spending such a marvelous evening with them, knowing that celebrating alone in such a large sukkah would not have been nearly as much fun. Finally, as the last of their guests departed, only Eliana's family remained within the Sukkah. They cleared the tables and swept the floor, their movements quiet and contented. A cool breeze whispered gently through the wooden walls of the Sukkah, creating a comfortable temperature that felt perfect for snuggling under warm blankets outside. Elias and Leah brought out soft sleeping mats and fluffy pillows, and Eliana and Caleb eagerly carried out their thick blankets and cozy sleeping bags. Each member of the family found a special spot within the Sukkah to lay out their bed for the night. One of the reasons often given for dwelling in the Sukkah during this festival, Leah explained to her children as they prepared for sleep, was to serve as a gentle reminder that everything in life is impermanent and ever-changing. While one could gather all the comforts and possessions one desired within a permanent home, these temporary dwellings reminded them that even as things changed, there was still joy, rest, and a sense of connection to something larger than themselves. Sukkot is a festival of wandering and a festival of rest, Leah said softly. It reminds us of our ancestors, the Israelites, who wandered through the desert for 40 years and slept in simple huts, she continued. Yet, it also urges us to find joy and peace even in the midst of change and uncertainty, turning the Sukkah into a place of festivity and togetherness. The full day and night of joyous festivity had certainly made the children ready for a restful sleep. Eliana chose the spot in the Sukkah closest to the entrance, hoping the fresh autumn breezes would keep her cool throughout the night. Caleb set up his sleeping bag right in the middle of the Sukkah, carefully moving some of the chairs and tables to the side to create more space. Leah and Elias made a cozy nest near the wall of their house, a subtle reminder of their own modest home that had ultimately made such a grand celebration possible. Together, the family looked up at the half-moon and the countless silver stars that shone brightly through the gaps in the leafy branches of the Sukkah's roof. The gentle wind rustled the wide palm leaves, making the stars appear to twinkle and dance in the vast expanse of the night sky. Birds hooted softly in the distance, singing a peaceful midnight lullaby. The walls of the Sukkah creaked gently with the soft sway of the wind. But leaning against the familiar sturdiness of their small house, they found a sense of comfort and security. The family felt protected and embraced within their temporary sanctuary, and one by one, they all drifted off to sleep, their hearts full of gratitude and contentment. Eliana was the last to succumb to weariness, wanting to stay awake a little longer and drink in every precious moment of the holiday. The starlight reflected in her wide eyes as she gazed up through a small opening in the roof at the immensity of the night sky. Soon, however, her eyelids grew heavy, and with a contented sigh, she pulled her warm blankets tight around her and joined her family in a deep and restorative slumber, dreaming of the stars and the magic of Sukkot.